Hello, grade 6. How are you? I hope you are fine and everything is fine with you. This is Mr. Mahmoud, and we're gonna start a new social studies lessons this fourth quarter. The first lesson is population patterns. You will find it in your books, page 34 and 35. So let's start, guys. What is the population? Population is the total number of people in a given area. So we choose any area like Cairo, for example, and we will calculate all the people who are living in Cairo, and this number will be the population. Let's say 3 million, 4 million people. This is the population of Cairo. And why do we have to know about these numbers? Because the geographers like to learn about the world, and how to learn about the world, to know more and more about these numbers and population numbers. And we can say some places are crowded with people and other places are almost empty. For example, the places where the desert is almost empty, and the big places or big cities like Cairo, Alexandria, it have a very big numbers of population. There is very important thing we need to know, which is population density. Population density. What is the population density? Is a measure of the number of people living in an area. So that is the measure of the number of people living in an area. We will choose a small city like Hurghada. We will measure the number of living people in Hurghada, and this number will be population density. Usually expressed as persons per square mile or square kilometer. So each square mile, we will calculate the number of the people in this 1 mile or this 1 kilometer. How many people are living in this mile? Let's say 2,000 people. So 2,000 people is the population density of this mile. We will go in another place like 1 square kilometer, and we will start to calculate how many persons are living in this 1 kilometer or square kilometer. We'll say 5,000. So 5,000 is the population density. Of course, this population density describes how crowded a place is, which in turn affects how people live. In a place with a high density, there is little open space. Buildings are taller and roads are more crowded. So in these places where there is high density or big numbers of population density, we will find some different things, and that's normal. We will find like more open spaces, more taller building, because there are a lot of people and they need to stay in some places, and roads of course will be more wider and more crowded. So underline the two sentences that describe the effects of population density on a place, and we have them here. Will be little open space if there is a high density, will be taller buildings, and the roads will be crowded. They also often have more products available for a variety of shoppers. Of course, will be more supermarkets, will be more markets, will be more stores, because there are a lot of people, they need to eat, to drink, to live, and so on. High density areas often have fertile soil, available water, and favorable climate for agriculture. Areas that are less dense often have harsh land or climate that makes survival harder. Guys, if we will ask ourselves why or where we will choose the better place for living, yes, the place where we can find more food, more water, and normal climate or favorable climate. And this place all the people will go to it, like for example Alexandria or Hurghada. The people will start to go and live and more and more and more in these places where there is fertile soil, available water, favorable climate for agriculture. So when I ask you guys, what is the land and climate often like in areas of high population density? The land should have fertile soil, and the climate should be very well or favorable for the people and for the agriculture. What about the areas that has less dense, often have harsh land or climate that makes survival harder? As I told you, in these places where desert, we will find people not like to go there because there is no water. They can't farm easily. If there is no water, will be no farming. So in these places we will find less dense or less population density numbers. That's important, guys. The number of people living in an area affects jobs, housing, school, medical care, available food, and many other things. Geographers study population change and world trends to understand how people live. To understand how people live very well. Of course, when we are living in some place like Hurghada, like today we have about 300,000 people in Hurghada. And 300,000 people in Hurghada, we can find normal housing, normal schools, or the number of schools is fine for us. We can find very good or very well medical care, and the jobs are very well. But what if more people will come to live in Hurghada? What if this 300,000 become 1 million in 2 or 3 years? Of course, that will affect everything. Will be no more jobs, housing will be less, the same idea about the school will be less, and the medical care. Will be little problem about the food. The food will not be like the same, and everything will change. So the number of people in one place or one area, when it change to be more people, it will affect everything like the jobs, housing, schools, medical care, and the food. That's why the geographers like to study population changes, because it really affects everything. And world trends to understand how people live and how it will affect them. We have here some statistics which really is important for understanding the idea of population. Alright? We have three things. We have the birth rate and death rate and rate of natural increase. First, let's talk about the birth rate. Let's say 10,000 people living in some area. 1,000 people. 1,000 people living in one area. We will calculate the annual number of birth. I mean, the 1,000 people in this area, they will have some birth, will be new birth babies in this 1,000. We will take all the numbers of birth in 1 year for only these 1,000 people. Alright, let's say they are for 1,000 people in some area, they have, for example, 200 birth in 1 year. So 1,000, they have 200 birth during the whole year. Death rate, annual number of people per 1,000. Alright, the same idea. The same 1,000 people who had 200 birth, let's say in 1 year 100 people died of these 1,000 people. So we have 200 birth and 100 death. 200 birth, 100 death. Very good. Rate of natural increase is that the birth rate minus the death rate. It means birth rate, we said 200 minus death rate 100, so it's gonna be 100. The rate of natural increase equal 100. I will say it again quickly. Birth rate, annual number of birth per 1,000 people. 1,000 people living in one place. We will stay for one complete year, and after the year finish, we will start calculate how many baby was born in this year for these 1,000 people. Death rate, annual number of people per 1,000 people. So the same idea for these 1,000 people, we will wait for 1 year and calculate everybody that have died in this year, and that's death rate. If we want to know what is the rate of natural increase, it will be birth rate minus death rate, and we will calculate it and know exactly how many or what is the rate of natural increase. We know now how to calculate the rate of natural increase. Some areas have low rates of natural increase, such as Europe and North America. Some countries in Africa and Asia have very high rates of natural increase. High rates can make it hard for countries to develop. Develop what? Economically because they need to provide jobs, education, medical care for growing people or growing population. So what we understand is when there is high rates, it will be hard for the country to provide these services like jobs, education, and medical care. It will not be easy because there are high rates. And when there is low rates, it will be easier for the country to provide jobs, education, and medical care. If I'm gonna ask you, give me some examples for the high rates countries or the high rates areas, regions, you will tell me Africa and Asia. Give me examples for the low rates of natural increase, you will tell me Europe and North America. We're gonna talk about migration, and migration is to move from one place to another place to live in it, not to just visit it, no, to live in this place till you die maybe. So this is migration. Of course, when you go from a place to another place, this place where you were already living in it, it will have lower population, and this place where you are going to live in will have higher population. People may leave a place because of problems there, such as war, famine, drought, or lack of jobs. So if I will ask you, why do people migrate from a place to another? Why do they move from a place to another? You will tell me because of war, famine. Famine means hunger or the lack of food. There is not enough food. Drought, lack of water, and the last thing is lack of jobs. If you are living in a place where you can't have a normal job or generally a job, of course you will migrate to another place. Other people may move to find political or religious freedom or economic opportunities in a new places. If you have restricted place politically or with the religious restrictions, of course you would like to move to another place where you can feel more freedom about the politics and religions. And of course economic opportunities is very, very important for anyone. If I'm going to live in a place where there is very well economy, it of course would affect on my life and I will have better life. The world's population has grown very rapidly in the last 200 years. Better health care and food supplies have helped more babies survive and eventually have children of their own. So of course, because of the technology in science, and especially the technology in medicine, the people start to live more The old people will live more because there are hospitals to care about them. And the small babies will not die very fast, or generally will not die because they can live more because there are also medical care that take care of them. And many industrialized countries have slow population growth, while other countries have a very fast growth. So in some countries like Germany, like the USA, they have slow population growth, but in other countries have very fast population growth, like for example Egypt. But fast growth had a little bit negative thing because will be strain on resources. A lot of people, of course, will be problem with resources, will be problem with housing and government aid. The question, how had the world's population changed during the last 200 years? We will say better health care and food supplies have helped more babies survive and eventually have children of their own. Guys, that's page 36 in your box, and we will just now choose the right answer. The study of human space focuses on the total number of people in a given area. It is, of course, population. Studying the space is one way to track the percentage of natural increase in the population. Of course, it is birth rate. Birth rate, one of these three ways that we calculate the natural increase in the population. We have birth rate and death rate. Number 3, calculating the space can tell us how crowded or sparse an area is. What do you think? Population trends or population density? Of course, it is population density. Number 4, space can cause one country's population to decline while it increase another country's population. Of course, it is migration. I told you, when you move from a place to another place, the country's population will decline or will be less, but will happen the contrast. The other people or the other country that you migrated to will have high population. Number 5, one space shows that many of the world's industrialized nations have slow population growth. It is, of course, birth rate. That's enough for today, and we will have the next lesson, so please wait me, and thank you very much for your listening. Please stay safe, stay fine, have a good time.